Welcome back to the Breaking and Kintsugi Repair of Stone series. This week we're going to talk about Brecciated Jasper, which is a form of jasper that we covered last week, but it has some unique properties. So as we talked about, jasper is another form of quartz, a silicate-based material, very much like chalcedony. The difference, if you'll remember, is jaspers tend to be opaque rather than translucent, like agates and other forms we've talked about earlier. It also tends to have that very grainy feel to it. As I showed you last week when we broke it, it was grainy where it had broken along the surface, and we got those like sand-like grains that came out of it. Now, brecciated jasper is a little bit different. It forms just like regular jasper, but in the course of its formation, at some point it gets shattered, usually by earthquake activity. And more silicate material comes in and forms new layers of jasper in and around that shattered stone. So what you get with brecciated jasper are chunks of jasper that have then been put together with more jasper. So you can see here most brecciated jaspers are kind of this dark red color. They often have pyrite in it. But you can see here how there's like the bands and chunks of different material in it. I do occasionally find green brecciated jasper, and if we look at this one a little bit closer, you again can see how there's chunks of material, and all of it's jasper. It's just been shattered and then put back together with more jasper in a very natural form. Then there's also this very bright red jasper that's still a brecciated jasper. This is one I can get much more commonly. And you'll see here some of the materials that are in it are completely a different color. Actually, some of them looking much more like quartz, some of them in this light brown type look. And you can see the back's very similar. So I've already talked about these small brecciated jaspers in episode 1. So even though that coloring and look is the most common form of brecciated jasper, we're actually going to look at this brighter color. So we're going to look at this particular brecciated jasper. Again, it's still a heart, has similar coloring to the one we just looked at with the bright red, the whitish quartz, and then this kind of light brown banding along the edges. There's the back. You can see the back already has a couple places, the lines there where it's just the surface is a little bit uneven, but that's how the stone came. So we're going to go break this and take a look at how this one breaks. And after breaking, this is what we get. You'll notice it looks somewhat similar to the jasper of last week, again with the very grainy, tiny little pieces that come off the edge. Like last week, we can sometimes get some of those still coming off. So if we quickly move those out of the way and let's look at the larger pieces. Again, like last week, that conchoidal curve to the break pattern is not really here, like we saw in the agates and other things. Again, it's completely opaque. I already pointed out the graininess, so we can tell this is a jasper. They go back together fairly well. One thing that is noticeable as I put these back together as compared to some other stones is there is somewhat a difference in texture between these quartz-like layers in it compared to the red jasper that surrounds it. So that does make a little bit of difference in putting it back together and sometimes in how it breaks, although it didn't make a huge difference this time. I just think it's so fascinating, looking not just at the stone at the outside, but even on the inside. It's like nature did its own kintsugi job to this stone after it was fractured during formation. And now we're going to do a more official kintsugi repair. So we'll go do that and we'll see how it turns out. And here's the final result after the repair. So you can see there's some large areas where there was some crumbling, but for the most part we got some fairly neat lines here. In the back, the same thing. What I find so fascinating about the stone really is just the fact that it's almost a nature's form of kintsugi with the whole way brecciated jasper is formed. And then to add the intentional kintsugi on top of it, for me, it just makes it an extremely meaningful stone. To see this particular piece or other kintsugi repaired stone jewelry items, please visit our shop at akintsugi-like.com. Thanks for joining us.